I never thought I'd be thankful for installing security cameras in my home. But life has a way of surprising you. My name is Emma, and until last Sunday, I'd spent 5 years trying to keep the peace with my sister-in-law Olivia, maintaining a facade of family harmony for my husband Mike and our 2 adopted children. That all changed with one slap and 6 words I'll never forget. The sound of the slap echoed through our living room, stunning everyone into silence. My cheek burned where Olivia's hand had struck me, but it was the look of horror on my 7-year-old daughter Sophie's face that truly hurt. Next to her, her 9-year-old brother Lucas stood frozen, his new science project, the source of all this chaos, forgotten on the floor. You're not even a real mother, you just adopted them. Olivia's words hung in the air like poison. The family gathering that was supposed to celebrate Lucas's science fair win had turned into something ugly in a matter of seconds. I could see my mother-in-law Patricia's hand covering her mouth, my father-in-law Robert shifting uncomfortably in his armchair, and Mike, my husband of 8 years, stepping forward with a look of shock I'd never seen before. But let me back up. You need to understand how we got here. Mike and I had tried for years to have biological children. After multiple failed IVF attempts and 1 devastating miscarriage, we chose adoption. Sophie and Lucas came into our lives 3 years ago, 2 siblings who'd lost their biological parents in a car accident. From the moment I saw them, they were mine. Not by blood, but by something deeper, by choice, by love, by destiny. Olivia, however, never accepted them as real family members. She'd made that clear from day one, in 100 small ways that were easy for others to dismiss but impossible for me to ignore. The separate table for the kids at family gatherings, the forgotten birthday invitations for her children's parties, the way she'd loudly discuss genetic traits at family dinners, always emphasizing how her children got their talents naturally from the family line. I documented everything, every slight, every accidental exclusion, every painful moment. Not because I planned to use it, but because someday I knew my children would ask why their aunt treated them differently. I wanted to be able to show them it wasn't their fault. The security cameras were installed last year after Olivia started showing up unannounced when Mike was at work, claiming she just wanted to check on things. I never told Mike about these visits or the cameras. I didn't want to create family drama. I kept hoping she'd change, that she'd see how special Sophie and Lucas were, that love makes a family, not blood. That Sunday started normally enough. Lucas had won first place in his school's science fair with a project about genetic traits in plants. Ironic, considering what was about to unfold. He'd worked for weeks on it, studying how different colored flowers could produce unexpected colors in their offspring. It was his way of processing his own story. I think, understanding that family connections don't always look the way people expect. When he explained his project to the family, Olivia's face darkened. I saw it coming, but I couldn't stop it fast enough. "It's cute that you're interested in genetics," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "But you do understand that you don't have any connection to our family's genes, right? You're not actually related to any of us." Lucas's face fell. Sophie, always protective of her brother, stepped forward. "That's not true. Mom and Dad are our real parents." "Oh, sweetie," Olivia laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "They're not your real parents. They just signed some papers. You don't have any of our family's special traits or talents. You're not actually part of our bloodline." I stepped between Olivia and my children. "That's enough," I said quietly but firmly. "You don't get to decide what makes a real family." That's when it happened. Olivia's hand connected with my cheek, the crack of the slap punctuated by her cruel words. "You're not even a real mother, you just adopted them." The room froze. Sophie started crying. Lucas looked like he might be sick. And I felt something inside me finally snap. 5 years of keeping quiet, of protecting everyone's feelings but my own children's, of documenting but never revealing. It all ended in that moment. I touched my burning cheek and smiled. "Since you brought it up," I said calmly, pulling out my phone, "I think it's time everyone saw who you really are." Olivia's face changed from anger to confusion, then to something close to fear as I opened my photo gallery. She knew in that moment that I had everything. Every visit, every cruel comment, every moment she thought no one was watching. "Emma," she started, her voice suddenly uncertain. "What are you doing?" I looked at my children, then at my husband, whose face showed a dawning realization that he'd missed something important. on showing everyone what a real mother does to protect her children. The living room felt smaller as I connected my phone to our smart TV. My hands were steady, even though my heart was racing. 5 years of collected evidence were about to change everything. Mom? Lucas's voice was quiet. Are you okay? I turned to my children, who were still standing together, Sophie half hidden behind her brother. I'm fine, sweetheart, but I need you both to go upstairs for a little while. Can you do that for me? But, Sophie started to protest. Mike stepped forward. I'll take them up. He hesitated, then added softly, Emma, what's going on? Something that should have happened a long time ago, I replied, meeting his eyes. He nodded slowly, understanding in his expression, and led the children upstairs. Olivia had recovered some of her composure. Oh, please, she scoffed, though her voice trembled slightly. What could you possibly have to show? Everyone knows how dramatic you can be. The first video started playing. It showed Olivia letting herself into our house 3 months ago, when she thought no one was home. She went straight to Lucas's room, rifled through his drawers, and removed several family photos from his wall. Pictures of him and Sophie with Mike and me at various events. They shouldn't pretend these kids are really part of our family, she muttered clearly in the footage. It's embarrassing. Patricia gasped. Olivia, you didn't. But more videos were playing. Olivia telling Sophie that her artwork wasn't as good as her own daughter's because talent runs in our family, and you're not really family. Olivia deliberately excluding Lucas from family photos at last year's Christmas gathering. Olivia telling her own children not to play with their fake cousins because they're not really related to us. Turn it off, Olivia demanded, her face pale. You're twisting everything. I was just trying to protect our family's reputation. By bullying children. Robert's voice was heavy with disappointment. By sneaking into their home. That's not. I didn't, Olivia sputtered, but I wasn't done. I pulled up the text messages next. Screenshots filled the screen. Olivia messaging other family members, spreading lies about how Sophie and Lucas were problem children with bad genes, suggesting they might become criminals like their real parents. The truth was that Sophie and Lucas's biological parents had been hard-working teachers who died in a tragic accident, but Olivia had created a completely different narrative. There's more, I said quietly. Would you like to see the videos of you telling the kids that Mike and I would eventually give them back because that's what happens to adopted children? Or maybe the ones where you're coaching your children to exclude them at school? Mike had come back downstairs and was standing in the doorway. His face was ashen. How long? He asked. How long has this been going on? Since the day we brought them home, I answered. I started documenting everything after the first year, when I realized it wasn't going to stop. Why didn't you tell me? The pain in his voice was palpable. Because she's your sister, because I kept hoping she'd change, because I didn't want to force you to choose. I took a deep breath. But today, when she slapped me in front of our children, when she tried to make them feel like they weren't really ours, that was the last straw. Patricia stood up suddenly. Olivia, get out of this house. Everyone turned to stare at her. Patricia had always been the peacekeeper, the one who smoothed over conflicts and made excuses for Olivia's behavior. Mom? Olivia's voice was small, uncertain. I said get out. Patricia's voice shook with anger. I've watched these videos and I don't recognize the person in them. That cruel, hateful woman can't be my daughter. The things you've said to those children, my grandchildren. They're not your real grandchildren. Olivia shouted, but her words fell flat in the silent room. Robert stood up too. Yes, they are. Love makes a family, Olivia, something you clearly never understood. Get out of my house, Mike said quietly, his voice carrying an authority I'd never heard before. And don't come back until you can treat my wife and children with respect. Olivia looked around the room, desperately seeking an ally, but found none. Her face contorted with rage. Fine, she spat. Keep playing house with your fake family, but don't expect me to pretend anymore. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The silence that followed was deafening. I sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted. Mike sat beside me, taking my hand. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I had no idea. I should have seen it. We all should have, Patricia said, wiping tears from her eyes. We let her behavior slide for so long, made excuses for her. Emma, can you ever forgive us? Before I could answer, small footsteps thundered down the stairs. Sophie and Lucas burst into the room, clearly having heard everything. Mom. Sophie threw herself into my arms. Are you okay? Is Aunt Olivia gone? Lucas hung back, looking uncertain. Did she mean what she said? About us not being real family? Mike opened his arms, and Lucas slowly came to him. No, buddy. She was wrong. So wrong. You and Sophie are our children, period. Nothing can change that. And you're our real grandchildren, Robert added firmly, coming to kneel beside them. We love you both so much, and we're sorry we ever let anyone make you feel otherwise. I held my daughter close, watching my son lean into his father's embrace, seeing the love and remorse in my in-laws' eyes. The truth was finally out, and while it hurt, it also felt like a weight had been lifted. Sometimes it takes a storm to clear the air, and while I didn't know what would happen with Olivia, I knew one thing for certain. My family, my real family, was stronger than ever. The weeks following Olivia's exposure brought changes I never expected. The most immediate were in Lucas and Sophie. It was like watching flowers bloom after a long winter. They laughed more freely, played more openly, and stopped checking over their shoulders at family gatherings. Mom, Lucas said one evening as I helped him with his homework. I don't feel scared anymore when I show my report cards. He paused, fiddling with his pencil. Aunt Olivia used to say my good grades didn't count because I wasn't born smart like her kids. My heart ached, but I kept my voice steady. Your achievements are yours, sweetheart. They come from your hard work and dedication. I know that now, he smiled, and the confidence in his expression made me want to cry. The changes in our extended family were equally profound. Patricia and Robert threw themselves into being the grandparents they should have been all along. They started showing up at school events, proudly displaying Sophie's artwork in their home, and bragging about Lucas's academic achievements to anyone who would listen. One Saturday, Patricia arrived with several old photo albums. I've been doing some reorganizing, she said, her voice thick with emotion. She opened one album to show me what she'd done. The older family photos were still there, but now interspersed among them were dozens of pictures of Lucas and Sophie from the past 3 years. She had carefully arranged them to show the family's true timeline, not by blood, but by love. I want everyone who looks at these to see our real family history, she explained. All of it. Mike underwent perhaps the biggest transformation. The guilt he felt over not noticing his sister's behavior initially crushed him. But it also sparked a fierce determination to do better. I keep thinking about all the times they must have been hurting and I didn't see it, he confessed one night after the kids were asleep. I was so used to making excuses for Olivia, I forgot my first duty was to protect our children. We can't change the past, I told him, squeezing his hand. But we're shaping their future. He nodded, then surprised me by pulling out his phone and showing me an email. He'd enrolled us all in family therapy, specifically choosing a counselor who specialized in adoptive families. I want to make sure we're giving them everything they need, he explained. And maybe we need some help processing everything too. As for Olivia, she didn't go quietly. First came the angry texts, then the tearful voicemails claiming she was the real victim. When those didn't work, she tried to rally other family members to her side. But the videos had shown everyone who she really was, and no one was willing to excuse her behavior anymore. The final straw came at a family birthday party for one of our nieces. Olivia showed up uninvited, claiming she had every right to be there. But when she tried to approach Lucas and Sophie, something remarkable happened. Patricia stepped between them. If you can't respect all my grandchildren, she said firmly, then you need to leave. Olivia left in tears, but this time no one ran after her. Instead, the party continued with games, cake, and genuine laughter. Sophie and Lucas played with their cousins. Olivia's children weren't there, but we learned later that they'd been asking to visit despite their mother's objections. 3 months after the slap that changed everything, I was cleaning out our home office when I found my old journal. Inside were all my careful notes documenting Olivia's behavior, pages and pages of pain and worry. I realized I didn't need them anymore. That evening we had a family meeting around the dinner table. I want to show you something, I said, placing the journal in the center. This book is full of hard memories, but we're not carrying them anymore. What should we do with it? Sophie thought for a moment. Can we burn it? Like in those movies where people let go of bad stuff. Mike raised an eyebrow. That sounds a bit dramatic. I like it, Lucas grinned. We could make s'mores too. So that's exactly what we did. In our backyard fire pit, we turned those painful memories into ash while roasting marshmallows and telling stories. Patricia and Robert joined us, bringing hot chocolate and warm marshmallows. As I watched the pages curl and blacken in the flames, Sophie snuggled into my side. "Mom," she whispered, "are we gonna be okay now?" I looked around at our little circle, my son explaining the chemistry of marshmallow roasting to his grandfather, my mother-in-law teaching Sophie the secret to the perfect s'more, my husband adding another log to the fire and catching my eye with a soft smile. This was family, real, messy, imperfect, but bound by something stronger than blood: choice, love, and the commitment to stand up for each other. "Yes, sweetie," I answered, holding her close. "We're already okay. We're better than okay. We're family." The fire crackled, sending sparks up into the darkening sky like tiny stars. Sometimes the strongest families are forged in the hottest fires, and ours had emerged unbreakable.